and keep everything as warm and get everything as heated up as you possibly can. So really concentrate, lower body, upper body, everything getting as warm as you can. Hi, I'm Dwight Stone. For as long as I can remember, I've been interested in sport and competing. And for the past 15 years of my life, I've been devoted to the track and field event of high jump. I've always had natural jumping talent, and I'm tall. But it takes more than that to become a champion. Technique, the right conditioning, and teaching elements all play their part. And above all, the desire to give it your best shot. I've been fortunate to achieve a great deal of success in the sport, which I'm grateful for. But I've had to work for that success. Along the way, I've learned a lot about high jumping and would like to pass on some of that experience to you today. I think it'll be fun. I hope you'll join me.
Dwight Stones, a former world record holder and Olympic medalist, has for over a decade been one of the outstanding technicians and personalities of the high jump event. Today, he is still competing at international level and is a respected high jump analyst and teacher.
All right, let's take off the sweat tops, leave your sweat bottoms on so you can keep the heat inside, and we'll start doing some flexibility exercises. All right, what we need to do is some general flexibility exercises, not things that are just specific to high jump, but things that you would do if you ran, if you throw, if you play racquetball, tennis, anything else. All right? Let's start a little bit with a little bit of upper body torso twisting, okay? Just a little bit, so you can feel it right through the mid-range. Mid-range is the most important part of the body for any type of athletic activity, okay? All right, let's wrap that up, and let's go a little bit to the neck, okay? Just real relaxed with your arms at your sides, head, chin down, and then just rotate to the left first, very slowly, really feeling where there are any kinks or any tightness. And stop and go back the other way. Very relaxed, very slowly. You can't afford to have any neck problems when you're doing any kind of athletic event. All right? Now let's do a little bit of back windmills. You don't ever want to do windmills forward. Life makes your shoulders come forward. You've got to do windmill exercises, some type of backward turning exercises with your shoulders and arms in order to get your posture to stay tall. Because when you're doing athletics, you want to be very, very tall. So make like you're pushing out against walls that are coming in against you. Hands really up, not like this, but up like that, a 90-degree angle. And think about making medium-sized circles going back, trying to press your shoulder blades against each other. Should be some tightness there. Keeping your arms straight, hands up. Usually doing around 50 of those is good. We'll just do that many now and stop, okay? Okay, now hands on the hips. We're going to do some torso rotating this time. Stick your bottom out, front forward, and what we're going to do is circle the hips out. Really push the hips out. Really shouldn't feel much of anything when your hips are forward, but when you go back, you should feel just a little bit of stretch in the top of the hamstring, low back, okay? And then you go the other way. Got to do everything equally to both sides. You don't ever want to try and do one side specifically from the other because we all jump from one specific side, so we're already doing the jumping from one side, okay? Feet comfortable width apart. The idea is as you bend your upper body forward, the stretch is to be in the low back, not in the hamstrings, okay? Hamstrings get stretched later. Low back has to be stretched first. As you start to feel the tightness, you bend the knees a little bit, stick the hands down, and you slowly but surely are going closer and closer to the ground, feeling that stretch in the low back. And the idea is that you're going to try and sit down with your feet flat on the ground. That's called the catcher, just like the catcher in baseball. Around down the bottom. Everybody tushes it down except James. Okay, fall back into the adductor position. And do a stretch for the adductors, which are the muscles on the inside of your thighs. Very, very important connection between these muscles and low back flexibility. Get your knees as close to the ground as you can. Feel that stretch. All right, from there, let's just lay down. Bring both your knees to your chest. Okay? And pull those knees to the chest where you feel that stretch in your low back. Again, if you got a point of tightness, just hold it there, take a deep breath, then exhale and pull the knees a little bit closer. Okay, should feel a little bit of stretch on the sides of your thighs, right where your thighs meet your bottom. Okay, now, let the legs go all the way out, and with your arms over your head, try to make yourself 2 inches longer. Just stretch, just like you're on a rack, and you're being pulled from both ends. Okay, now, take your left leg and bring it to your chest, just like we did with both legs, but just the left leg now specifically. Pulling it down, same idea. And then turn it across your body. All right? And then your right arm over your head and your left arm the other way. So the idea is to try and get both shoulders on the ground and your opposite knee on the ground. Very difficult to do, but that's what you're trying to achieve. You're sort of in an X position. All right? Feel that stretch up in the upper body. Now, bring the legs back together and bring the right knee up. Same exact thing with the other side. Pull that down, get a good stretch all along in here. Feel that low back. Always trying to get a little bit of stretch in the low back. Bend that one over to the other side. Left arm over your head. Right arm across the body. Don't forget your breathing. Okay, back to the center. We'll move into an exercise that loosens up the quads and loosens up the Achilles tendon a little bit and also works on the hamstring. Put your hands down here in front of you, almost like a modified starting for a sprinter, okay? But get that other leg stretched out behind you. Move forward with the heel staying on the ground so you can stretch your Achilles tendon out, okay? Really feel that stretch. And come back into here. Now, this is a real tough exercise to do balance-wise. This takes a while to be able to do this. What you want to do is with your left hand, if you've got your right leg back, with your left hand, grab your foot, the toe of your foot, and pull it up. And you got to find a spot on the horizon, because if you start looking down, it's like walking a tightrope. You want to look straight ahead at what your goal is. So that's the best way to do it. Again, this is one of those things where the more you do it, the better your balance and your flexibility become. And you should feel a nice, solid stretch through the quadriceps. I mean, that's the part of the body that takes the impact when you high jump. So it's got to be loose. It's got to be flexible. Obviously, you do that on both sides as well. All right? Okay, I think we're all done with the specific parts of the stretching for the high jump. But what I want to stress one last time is that no matter what activity you're doing in track and field or anything else, you want to warm up and stretch properly so the body can perform to its best and avoid injury. Okay, let's get over to the high jump area and get down to business. Okay, although we're all high jumpers and understand the specifics of the event very well, there are a lot of people who don't understand it. In its simplest form, the high jump has very few rules. You can only take off with one foot, so that leaves the gymnasts out of it. And once you have knocked the bar down 3 times in a row, you're out of the competition. First of all, the high jump is the shortest event in track and field. The men's world record is 7 feet 10 3/4 inches, which is 2 meters and 41 centimeters. The women's world record is 6 feet 9 3/4 inches, which is 2 meters and 8 centimeters. So you can see there's some very good athletes who've defied gravity for at least a short period of time in this event. You get no extra equipment. It's just your body, your technique. So let's get down to some of the real basic parts of the event. Fosbury flop is a technique that some people think is very complicated and very difficult to learn. The converse is really true. It's the most natural style of high jumping and really started out very, very simply, and we'll be able to demonstrate that from its most rudimentary base form. Okay, now let's get down to the really basic form of technique where high jump began. A technique that was used back in the 30s and 40s because of the equipment that was really in play then. We didn't have foam rubber landing pits then. It's sawdust and sand. So you want to try and land in such a way where you wouldn't hurt yourself. Either land on your feet or land in such a way where you could brace your fall with your legs and your hands. That technique is called the scissors style of technique. And you can see one leg comes up, the other one follows. It's not a very efficient technique for clearing the lower limbs of the body. But it does continue to be a good drill for the Fosbury flop. It's something you could use in training, something you could use as part of your warm-up, and it does sort of test the flexibility of your lower body. Okay, now we've completed the scissors part of the jumping where you've had to stand up. And of course, in the Fosbury flop, you're not going to stand up, so now what we need to do is just use the scissors, same technique, but this time you're going to land in an L position, land on your legs with your back straight up. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate that right now. Okay, very, very simple, very much like what we've already done. In fact, the straighter your legs are, the more height you're going to get, and the more easily you will land on your legs. Okay, so one more time. Same idea, straight legs, but this time you don't land on your feet. Good. All right, James. Good. All right, Gavin. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll take the next step, the next stage in getting the rotation. Okay, we've landed parallel on our legs. Now we're going to land sort of in a 45-degree angle in the pit, okay, just like this. The jumpers on this side will land so they're looking back that way. Jumpers on that side will land so they're looking over here. All right? Okay, Timmy, you start. Land at a 45-degree angle rather than parallel. Keep the legs straight and just land on your legs. The whole idea here is that we're slowly but surely rotating around in the landing to demonstrate that you can take off in one direction yet land in the other. Okay, now, the last in the process is obviously to land looking straight back out, perpendicular to the bar, okay, which is where we want to finally be with the Fosbury flop. Same idea, straight legs, but you land looking straight back out down the middle, just like this. Okay, just turn it all the way around, full rotation, okay? All right, let's give it a shot. Everything else remains the same. Legs straight, try to get some height. Land on your legs, L position, looking back out at me. All the way around looking at me. Okay, now we're going to do something that's going to make this event make a little bit more sense. The whole time we've been doing the scissors jumps and the landings on the leg hasn't really related to the Fosbury flop. This will relate. We're going to do some standing back jumps, which accomplish a lot of things we want to do. Number one, it gets you an idea of going up in the air. It incorporates the use of the arms, which are very important, and it gets you to land on your back, which is also very important. So what you do is come up, turn your back to the bar, and jump over the bar like a Fosbury flop jump without any speed. This particular drill will accomplish a lot of those transitional activities that you need to do to flop properly. Remember, straight back up, use the arms, land on your back. Good. This will also teach you very good body awareness over the bar. You got to get used to what positions you're going to be in over the bar, okay? Good, excellent. The whole time concentrating on going up. The momentum will carry you back into the pit with your arms. All right, James, go for the height. Okay, Timmy, same thing. Use those arms. Height first, remember. Super. And concentrate on getting the height first, using the arms to transfer the force, and landing on the back. Up first, then back. Remember, the height first. Use the arms to transfer that force, and land on your back. All right, now that we've done the scissors jumps and the standing backwards jumps, we're really ready to move into the real technique. And the first thing you've got to determine is a good, solid, comfortable approach. The last part of the approach should be curved as it was in the scissors jumps. And the most important elements are that you be relaxed, that you feel comfortable, and you get yourself in position to jump. It should be just like running into the sky, okay? The last three steps look like this. Okay, the last step shortened, the last stride a little bit quicker, and right into the vertical, jumping into the air, not into the pit. All right, takes a lot of concentration to hit this right. All right, Timmy, you first. All righty? All right. I'm going to concentrate on jumping up in the air now. Let's not jump into the pit. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about going right into the pit. The first movement you made was right here. first movement I want off the ground is right there. I want you to think about going straight up in the air. You want to come off the ground explosively into the air. Pit will be there for you. Now, you always want to try and pass your height over the middle of the bar because that is where it is lowest and that is where it's measured. So to jump on either side of the middle just means to jump higher, and you don't get credit for it. The most important thing you want to remember is that when you're laid out over the bar, you're arched over the bar, is to be aware of when your bottom passes the crossbar. As soon as it does, all you need to do is raise your head, which drops your bottom down, which raises your legs. Now, an effective bar clearance will allow you to land on the middle to the upper part of your back, which is ideal. Anytime you find yourselves consistently landing above the upper part of your back and into your neck, you've got to try and change your clearance because then you're going to start to have severe injuries to your neck. All right, now we've discussed all the important elements. The approach, the takeoff, the bar clearance, and landing. You've executed all of those elements at a height that's sort of reasonably easy for you. You're all warmed up. You're ready to go. Now let's really start to go after some real jumping, something that's going to really test you. You can really have to concentrate on each one of those things that we've learned. And I want to see each other give confidence and support to one another. The high jump is really a fraternity. Even though you're competitors, it's really good to encourage one another because once someone's doing it right, really gets the idea, it's bound to be contagious.
Whatever your track and field event, it is always important to compete as often as possible in a competitive environment, really giving it your full effort, going for your best jump. Only through regular competition and practice will you improve. As a beginner learning the basic technique of the high jump, you should not worry too much about the precise length of your run-up. But when you become more proficient and your run-up is grooved and feels right for you personally, measure it so that it gives you confidence for all jumping locations. Dwight Stones has his own foolproof method of measuring his run-up.
Once I found where I had a comfortable feeling of where my run-up was, I decided to measure it very precisely. I have the short leg of my triangle, which is the measurement from the standard to my tape. Long, straight measurement is my 18-meter measurement. That's the correct distance from the bar for me. So all I had to do then was measure the distance between the standard, the diagonal line to my mark. That way, when I put my straight tape together with my diagonal tape at one particular point, I know that's where my run-up is. With this particular system, you can't miss, which makes it much easier to be confident with your approach, so that when you're jumping in competition, you need only to concentrate your effort on the actual mechanics of the jump. You are sure that your approach is perfect. Let's talk a little bit about clothing and safety. First of all, with clothing, when you jump, you obviously want something that's very light. It's not going to get in the way. It's not going to restrict any movement. So shorts are maybe a little bit smaller so you can get full leg movement. A jersey that doesn't chafe you when you run, because when you run to the bar, you run like you're a runner. As far as shoes are concerned, that's a very specific area, because in a technical event like the high jump, pole vault, or any of the throwing events, you have to have shoes that are really specific for the event. This is an example of a high jumping shoe, and it's different from most shoes in that on the sole of the shoe, there's a plate that is made of a substance that absorbs a certain amount of shock, but not too much, because if it absorbed too much of the shock that it had, it wouldn't give anything back to you to go up in the air with. So it has to be a little bit resilient, a little bit springy. Also, the spike configuration on this particular shoe is rather common. It's more like a sprint shoe, more like a long jump shoe, but there are different ways of arranging the spikes in some different technical shoes for the high jump that allow you to move the spikes around so that you can have better lateral force absorption of your run. If you've got a very acute turn where you use a lot of speed in the turn, you can do things with your shoe to make it so that spike can absorb a lot more force. And I come at the bar pretty much in a standard straight ahead motion, so this particular spike configuration is very good for me. On the heel, in the high jump, you can use up to 4 spikes. And again, when you are planning very, very hard and very severely next to the bar, you want to try to absorb all that shock that's going in a horizontal direction and go up in the air with it. So to have good rear spike configuration is very, very important. In the high jump and in the javelin, you can use 4 spikes in the heel. Now, for example, this shoe. is not made for high jump. It's made more for sprinting, interval training. You could maybe long jump in it. You could maybe pole vault in it, because those are all activities that are taking place in a straight line. For example, here on Mike's shoe, it's a very thin plate, more for sprinting. Spike configuration is a lot like the one that I've got, but again, the plate is made more for sprinting or a straight ahead type of activity. It's got a lot of padding here through the instep and into the heel, but no spikes in the heel whatsoever. You want to be able to have an ability of the back of your shoe to catch some of the force that you've got going outside of the circle. So here he would have a difficult time doing that, and with any kind of water or any kind of loose ground conditions, he would have a lot of trouble jumping well and giving it a lot of effort with this particular shoe. If you're going to be a serious high jumper, you do have to go out and get shoes that are specifically for the high jump. As far as safety equipment is concerned, we've already discussed the idea that the Fosbury flop couldn't happen without foam rubber landing pits. The technique evolved and was developed because of foam rubber landing pits. Imagine jumping what the world record is now into sand or sawdust. You take one jump, you better make it, because that's the end of your career. So it's very, very important that you have the correct landing area for the high jump, that it's large enough. So you got to make sure the pit is large enough, that it is capable of absorbing the shock that you're going to give to it. And as pits grow older, they become softer and take a lot of the impact with your back. Want to make sure that your equipment is well maintained. Just be a smart athlete and check your equipment before you jump. To summarize some of the key points in the high jump, we'll start with the warm-up. A good warm-up is essential, not only for preparing the body for a good performance in the high jump, but also for avoiding injuries. Number 2, you may want to start with a little bit of scissors jumping or even standing backwards jumping. Prepares the body and the mind for the activity of the high jump. The approach. A good approach, well measured, is your most important key. If your approach is off, you'll be thinking only about the approach and not about the jump. Take the proper amount of time and effort to get your approach down and have your confidence high. Number 4, the takeoff. The takeoff must be very quick. You must be running off the ground, and above all, you want to be jumping high. Don't concentrate on jumping into the pit. Concentrate on jumping off of the ground. Next, bar clearance and landing. You want to have your height directly over the bar in order to set yourself up for a landing on the middle to the upper part of your back. And finally, all sport is meant to be enjoyed, and the high jump is no different. It's an event that you can enjoy totally on your own. You can seek your own level. Not everyone can be an Olympic champion, but everyone, through hard work, can improve. Good luck and good jumping.
Hello, my name is Juan Carlos Santana. I'm the Director of Optimum Performance Systems in Boca Raton, Florida. We are proud to bring you functional training, breaking the bonds of traditionalism. The purpose